What's up, everybody? I'm your adorable woman, Aries Adora, and this is Adorable Woman TV, where we inspire great affection towards women all over the world. If you haven't already done so, make sure you tap that bell for notifications, hit the like button, and subscribe, because I don't want you to miss a beat. And let's go!
Now won't stop me now.
Today is extremely special because I have two beautiful guests with me, and they have such a heartfelt, touching story that I am just absolutely oozing to share with you. They've been through so much together. They are a mother and daughter. Please help me welcome Miss Melody and Monicure. So, where do we start? I kind of feel like I just want you to kind of lay it out yourself, you know what I mean?
I'll probably lead. So I was given up for adoption, and I was given up at birth. So I think probably around maybe 5 or so was when I really became aware that I was adopted. And it was more so from a neighborhood friend that told me that my mother had threw me in the trash and I was adopted.
Okay.
So that was like the first time I probably even heard of the word adopted, or this isn't your family, your real family.
When they told you that, how did that make you feel?
I was very confused. I was around 5, so
Right.
I didn't fully understand what the girl was telling me. But I did get to speak to my grandmother, and you know, out of protection, she told me, yeah, it was true, but these kids, they don't know what they're talking about, and they just fast and grown and talking, and they don't know. So I just kind of went on with it. I didn't feel any different at that time, being raised by my grandparents. It was more so later on in life, around 9 or 10, when my grandparents passed away, that I began to get shifted around the family, my sister and I. And it started making me have more questions about who I was, my ethnicity, noticing more that I looked different than anyone else in the family or the school that I went to. So that's when I started to inquire, what is my ethnicity? And my family, my adopted family, was just like, girl, just tell them you black. And I'm like, okay.
And you just bring it that way, right?
No, this hair look a little different. It looks different, and I would always be teased at school. So back then, I was the only person at my school that looked like me. My hair was all the way down my back, and I looked Hispanic back then, especially. So I was just teased because of that. So more and more people would ask me, what are you? What are you? And I started to have like identity issues because growing up in my neighborhood, I didn't see anyone that looked like me. So I started asking more questions because, again, I was aware that I was adopted. So now I'm of age to kind of understand what that means.
And what age was this?
This was around 9.
Okay.
So this was when I started asking more questions on, do they know who my mom is? And my adopted family was telling me they didn't really know anything. And I think, honestly, they kind of made up stories as they went along to kind of just appease me. I heard a few different stories. They told me that my adopted mother told them, to rewind a little, my adopted mother died when I was a year old. So then I went with my grandparents, and then I went with other family. So they were telling me that my adopted mother told me that I was Filipino and black, and I didn't see that either. So it became even more of this like aching feeling, like I need to know what I am, who is my mom, who is my family. So I think at that age was when I really started questioning and started even writing and asking for permission to find my biological mother.
So this search began very early for
Yes,
you.
very
early. Okay. Because I think that people that know you or saw what you posted on Facebook, they're under the impression that this just started.
No.
So to give a little more background, Monicure basically, and I'm not going to give too much, but a lot of people are familiar with her story because, was it last year or was it
April?
Okay. Oh, wow. So we're coming up on the anniversary.
Yes.
Last April, she put a post on Facebook searching for her mom. And so as you can see, she's here. But that's good to know because a lot of people think that just out of the blue, like, I'm gonna search for my mom, and to hear that it's something that started at such a young age, I think that there are a lot of other children out there who are probably in that same position.
Yes, I'm sure. It's been a long road getting here. So at the age of 9, that's when I started asking my family. And honestly, I think my adopted family was more so possibly like hurt by it because they
You mean hurt by the fact that you wanted to find your biological mother,
right?
Although they were the ones that
were caring for me.
Gotcha. Okay.
Right. And so once I kind of got of age to kind of communicate or articulate that it wasn't because anything that they lacked or didn't give me love, it was more so because I wanted. This is a natural thing. You want your mother. It's a curiosity. For me, it's always been in me to know who my mother was. And I think maybe because my adopted mother died when I was a year old, I didn't have that mother in my life. Mm-hmm. So it was even more so that desire that was there. You go to school, you see kids with their mom or their dad, and that was missing in my life. Mm-hmm. So I think the first time I started writing was around 9 or 10. I started writing Oprah, Jenny Jones, Ricky Lake, all the old school throwbacks back then.
Did any of them respond?
No one. No one ever responded. Even back then, Jerry Springer was doing the adoption thing before, all that. So I wrote to so many people. No one ever responded. It took up until my, I think, junior year in high school. I was speaking to a teacher and he told me to write to the state. I can't remember the exact department he told me to write to. So I asked my family, would it be okay if I could do it? And they told me no. And so I still went ahead.
You did it anyway.
So I don't know what was going on in my head. Like, okay, well, I guess I didn't think they were going to write back and I was going to get a letter in the mail.
Oh.
So yeah, I got caught. And just to kind of bring you a little bit up to speed with how the dynamics were with the family that I was adopted into, I love them to death, but I didn't have the best upbringing. And so with that, who I was living with, they didn't take it very well when I went outside of what they told me to do. So when the letter came, I was working at Walgreens, I'll never forget. I was on the front register and my guardian came up to the store and he threw the letter at me and said, I told your stupid butt you can't do nothing without me. I told you couldn't write them. And read the letter. It said you can't do nothing without my permission. And that's what the letter said.
And just so we know, how old were you at this point?
I think at this point I was like 16 or 15 or 16. And so I was devastated. I was crushed, and I just thought,
I would think that anybody would be able to understand or understand a desire like that. Even if I took someone else in and I adopted them, me personally, I would understand if a child would want to know, So it's kind of hard for me to really imagine how they were shielding you from that.
I think the family that I came from, if we look at like some of the dynamics within the Black families and how secretive a lot of things were, and that's kind of how they were. A lot of things were secretive, a lot of things probably wasn't done the right way on the legal ramifications around everything. So I think they kind of always had this complex of don't go digging because you go mess something up and you go find something and get in trouble. So, and then also they told me that my mother didn't want me, so don't go searching and digging and you go get your feelings hurt. So that when they told me that, I just never believed it.
Okay.
I don't know why. I just never believed it. And I constantly had that desire, probably even more. It was greater at that point to continue searching. So when he told me I couldn't have his permission, I said, okay. When I turn 18,
It's over.
Yes. And so, because you know, in the back home, you turn 18, when you're grown, you out my house, then you can go. And so I was like, okay, cool. When I turn 18, this will be a priority for me. I'm going to prove to them. So I think it was either, I don't know if it was 18 or 21, but I found out the adoption agency that I was adopted through.
Horns are blowing. Sorry. Go ahead.
I found out the adoption agency I was adopted through, and so I went there and I submitted paperwork to get my adoption file. So basically, there's 3 files that the adoption agency has. It's the adoptive parent file, it's the child file, and it's the biological mother file. And so I had a really, really hard time just getting this information, because keep in mind, this is like probably 20 years later that I'm requesting it. So these records are in archive in the basement somewhere. The lady didn't want to do her job. She gave me a really, really, really hard time. She was like down on me and talking to me like, maybe because she knew I was younger, she was speaking to me like, I don't have to do anything and I'll find it when I want to find it. And so one day I was like, you know what, I'm just going to call her manager and speak to the manager and see if they can help me or put someone else on my case to help me. So the manager took over the case and got me my file probably within 2 weeks. And I had been waiting for like 6 months at this point. So yeah, so I got the file and there was a lot of helpful information in there. But ultimately the file indicated that my mother, my biological mother, had lied about some of the information she provided.
Okay.
So it gives details of her, description of her appearance, the age they believed she was. They believed she was 15, but she indicated she was 21, I believe.
Okay.
And the addresses that she gave, everything they tried to follow up on was incorrect. So every time over the years, now I've been searching, keep in mind, since I was 9, every time, you know, I was searching, I kept hitting dead ends because the information she provided was wrong. So last year, or the year before meeting my mom, I actually took an ancestry DNA test. I went back to the agency and asked them if they can look for my mother's picture again. They told me they had lost the picture in the file. So one of the groups that I'm in on Facebook, a lady suggested, just go back and have them search. And literally within seconds, I don't know if they computerized this stuff at this point or what, within seconds she looked and she saw the picture. And so I was ecstatic. Initially I told her to mail it, but then it dawned on me, I'm like, what if it get lost in the mail?
Oh, yeah.
So I said, you know, I called her back and I said, actually, can I come and pick up the photo? So she said, yeah, I'll be here until X amount of time. I got in my car, I drove to where she's located in Hyde Park, and the moment she gave me the photo, I think most people take for granted seeing a picture of their mother or their parent because you're born into the world for the first time, right? Because you're born into the world knowing who your mom is and seeing her and being around her. So that's not something you desire to know how she looked. And for me, I've imagined all my life what my mother looked like. And the record said she was fair skinned. So I would like imagine a particular woman, fair skin, long hair. I thought she was Asian or something. She was every ethnicity, probably but black. But I just imagined her so many times in my head, or I prayed that God would show me her in a dream, and to finally be holding a picture of my mother. And it's this young girl in a chair with the romper on. And I'm like, oh my God, this is my mother.
Now, they said that they kind of guessed her age.
Right. They believe she was around 15 because in the photo, she looks like she's 13, 14, 15. She looks extremely young. So for her to tell them that she was 21, they knew she was lying. They knew she was lying. So they were very good at detailing certain things like that in the record. So that was very helpful. But I sat there. I think I sat there for probably 30 minutes. And at that point, I'm crying because, you know, I can't even control it at that point. And the social worker, she's like, baby, can I give you a hug? And that, oh God, when she asked for the hug, it really was over after that. I just fell into her arms and started crying. So I gathered myself, I went to the car, and I couldn't drive. I was still crying so hard that I couldn't drive. I couldn't gather myself.
I'm just too emotional.
Right. So finally I go home and fast forward, you know, now I have this picture and I'm showing the family. They didn't know who it was. And I was like, how is this possible? How is it that you guys don't know who she is? And I have this photo. So I said, okay, I'm going to use Facebook, social media, as a method of getting my story out. And I was so grateful. I wrote up an article and put the picture out there, and I think maybe 500-600 people shared my story, which was incredible. Still,
I shared it.
Still nothing.
I definitely shared it for sure. I think I shared it like twice or
Thank you.
like that.
I appreciate, and that's the thing. You know, once meeting my mom, that I explained to her, and the reason I wanted to go live the day of, it was so many people along my journey that has assisted in so many ways, just simple as just sharing it.
When I was looking at the post, it's like when you're on the outside looking in, you have a split or I don't know, like you kind of split on the possibility of locating, because you don't know if that person is still alive. So for me, it was like, you know what, I'm gonna share it. In the back of my mind, I was like, I hope that she is still in a position to be found, but you never know.
And there's other possibility as well, not just being found, but the things that I had to, that I struggled with was, if I find her, will she be open to a relationship with me? Will she have kids?
Because as a child, you were already told, like, you know,
she didn't want me.
She don't want you. She doesn't want to have anything to do with you. So I can only imagine.
That was like the greatest fear to have and to prepare myself for, also in the event when she did not want me, that I just had to be strong enough to know that it was a possibility she would say no, and if that was the case, I had to be okay with it and go on with my life. The photo that I had on Facebook, I had a mutual friend that said that that was his cousin, and her name was Deborah Lewis. I went to her house. A young man opened the door. I asked for Deborah Lewis. He went and got her. She came to the door. I explained who I was. I said, my name is Monicure McAllister. I was given up for adoption at birth. I'm looking for my mother, and her name is Deborah Lewis, and I believe that's you. And she said, I'm Deborah Lewis. I said, well, I think you will be able to help me. And she was looking like, just kind of standing there. And then I said, I believe you're my mother. And she kind of, her body language was really off, and it was confusing. It seemed to me she was lying. So I then asked.
She didn't give you the energy like, sweetie, I don't have any kids. Like, I don't have any kids at all. So I'm sorry. I hope you find who you're looking for, but it's not me. There was some apprehension there.
And she even asked certain questions like, what's your nationality? How old are you? Like, she was asking questions
as if there was a possibility.
Yeah, and so that's where I was really confused, and I did not believe her. So I stormed off to the car. My guy, he stood there talking to her. Then I came back and I said, you know what? I just want to say this. I just wanted to say I didn't want anything from you. I just wanted closure. I just wanted closure. I just want to know who my mom is. I don't want financially anything from you, even a relationship if you don't want a relationship. I just wanted to know. And then I walked off and I left that as that. And come to find out it wasn't her. So I truly, truly apologize.
She called. We'll talk about that.
Then after she said it wasn't her, I think because the guy that opened the door may have been her husband, and he may have had some questions. In hindsight, I should have thought about this a little differently, because I'm sure he had questions, and she ended up calling the police. But I think
I can only imagine, like, did you have some babies on me?
Right.
He's probably like, wait a minute.
Right. And
but then
you don't know
she wasn't
that.
like, no,
Right.
I don't have any.
And he probably thought she was being suspicious. So who knows, once those doors closed, what the conversation was.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So I really apologize and pray that she accepts my apology.
Deborah Lewis, she is so sorry.
I really am.
The real Deborah Lewis.
Right. Right. I'm so sorry. But
so you posted on Facebook, it got 600 shares.
and still nothing. And so all this time passed, and the way that we connected was through Ancestry. So I don't think Ancestry really shows or promotes the ability of them connecting people and locating people. It's more so, let's give you your genetic makeup and background and work. Right. But a lot of people, if they don't know, you should know, take the test if you're looking. If you're looking for your family members, it's a possibility that someone else in your family has taken the test. And that's how we connected. So I did the DNA test, and I'm on the phone with my cousin, and I see a pop-up that says parent, child, or identical twin. And I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. Like, my heart dropped.
First of all, if you get a notification, you're already adopted. So if you get a notification saying parent or identical twin, I know that like your mind just went crazy, because mine would.
Right. So I had already did a lot of research, and I knew the only other way, far as the identical twin portion would be concerned, is if she had an identical twin that was a female. That could have been the possibility that that other person could have been my mom. So I knew when I saw it that this was my mother. I looked at the photo and I'm like,
so there was a photo that came up as well.
Right. So the photo definitely confirmed it for me, because I could tell at that point the age approximately she was. So I called, I spoke with my search angel, and my search angel said, yeah, this is her. Ancestry, they don't get this wrong. They've never gotten a parent wrong, so this is her. So I say, what should I do? Now I'm like, I don't even know what to do, because I've had so many experiences of being shut down that now I'm afraid to even make a move. So she said, well, I think you should just send her something general. Just the email saying, hi, I see we're related. Can you please give me a call? And that's what I did. And probably within, I want to say 20 minutes or so, she gave me a call.
What?
And I wasn't even expecting it to be that soon.
Okay.
I was thinking, okay, it'll be like, right, you know, who's going to be on there immediately after. So I didn't expect to get a call. So the phone rang, and
Strong, independent, brave, stand up, woman. I'm a woman. Can't stop me now, won't stop me now.